The morning after the warrants, news of an international policing operation to arrest trafficking suspects broke across Latvia.
Un āresti, kas notika Jūrmalā un vēl citās Kurzemes pilsētās, savā ziņā pieliek vērienīgai izmeklēšanai punktu.
The criminality linked to this investigation.
Visnoziegums sākās Latvijā un beidzās Latvijā. Darbinieku vervēšana notika.
To see the criminality. Okay. So for the employer, they weren't aware that there was any criminality. Okay. And they could conduct services.
The national media interest gave the officers a chance to talk about the team effort over the months leading up to the warrants and the vast amount of work that was yet to come. Then, that work began. Deep within the corridors of the state police headquarters in Riga, the team started to leaf through the huge amounts of potential evidence they had seized during the Latvian warrants.
What we did know when we went out for the enforcement in Latvia was that there were bank cards belonging to victims that were being used in Latvia by Madara and Karens quite specifically. During the enforcement, we were able to oversee searches at the address that the Latvians were conducting, and we recovered some absolutely great pieces of evidence. And when we looked through that, we found bank cards for those victims. So we were able to link the CCTV that the Latvians helped us to secure with the bank cards of the victims and the victims' names, which were found in their house on top of a cabinet in Latvia.
Yeah, this is the bank card for one of the victims in the case. It's been recovered from one of the search addresses yesterday. This bank card's been used in Latvia while the victim's back in the UK, and we've recovered CCTV in Latvia prior to this enforcement that covers the usage of that bank card.
We found a payslip in the name of a victim in one of the vehicles that we recovered. That payslip was for a victim who'd left a year prior. Some silliness from their part really in leaving trails of evidence that we can obtain. But I think really it just goes to show their sheer arrogance and them thinking that they were never going to get caught and we were never going to go out and get them. But we certainly proved them wrong on that point.
The review of evidence meant that the team could easily link the bank statements, withdrawals, wire transfers and purchases to the suspects and the victims, and clearly map out how far the exploitation went. Watching on was National Crime Agency Tactical Advisor Steph Williams, who gave the team useful pointers on what they would need for their prosecution case.
I look at what they have there and look how to bolster that investigation and get the best out of the investigation. We're not here to take over an investigation. We're not here to direct an investigation. As is in the title, we are advising. And we will give you what we consider to be the best options. It's for you to choose which way you sort of follow your investigation.
For that we have a file submission towards the end of March that we need to work to. So the evidence that we see here will be key evidence that we'd like to include in the next file submission. So if we can take...
This is probably one of the most dynamic JIT processes that I've gone through, in that we've gone very, very quickly through the process from the first point of engaging with Latvians, the Latvian authorities, through to the actual JIT process of coming across here and making arrests. Then this has been quite a dynamic scenario.
Armed with folders full of crucial new evidence, the Derbyshire team flew back to the UK to start the next phase of their investigation. And they weren't the only ones flying into the UK from Latvia. With their extradition orders complete, two of the main players in the international operation, who fled the UK before the Derby enforcement, were finally brought back to face justice. Far from the comforts of his Latvian home, Karens Pelches was escorted through Stansted Airport and straight to custody at Derby. In another cell, Madara Stromain, both were remanded in prison custody charged with trafficking offences. And with Magdalena Kleiner and Einars Pelches already awaiting trial, the investigation team knew that for the first time they had all the main players in the international human trafficking ring in custody. Their thoughts now turned to preparing for the trial.
We didn't start the trial until September the 17th, 2018, so there were several months of activity, which was reviewing paperwork, getting ready for trial preparation and getting the case file ready. So it's a long time of paperwork and processing, a lot of the excitement, or what we would consider exciting elements of the job for us. Lots of the travel to and from Latvia had finished, and it was really into the period of grinding through the paperwork and really critically analysing the evidence and the material that we'd gathered to make sense to be able to present a coherent case at court.
With a total of 11 defendants, nearly 30 victims, and reams upon reams of detailed evidence carefully gathered by the team, that case file became the biggest the officers had ever prepared. The scale of it started to give Carl another sense of nervousness.
And with a case of this size, there are really many unknowns leading up to the trial. There were lots of people involved, there's lots of suspects. It was a conspiracy involving 11 people. We'd got numerous victims, multiple victims to coordinate that have all got different vulnerabilities that were all over the place in the UK and spread all over Latvia, right across rural Latvia. So there was lots of trepidation going into the trial. We knew we had an exceptionally strong evidential case, but with so many people involved, so many suspects and so many victims, and it's relatively new criminality, I was particularly worried about going into the trial. I knew we had a good case, but there were so many variables and so many unknowns with this criminality that it's not something that I or the team had experienced before.
The trial, scheduled to last 3 months, began at Nottingham Crown Court. The courtroom heard first-hand from several victims how they had been recruited, coerced, lied to and exploited by the group over several years.
I remember one victim telling me that whilst he was under the control of the offenders, he was just a body with no soul. He felt lifeless. Yes, he could walk the streets, but he wasn't actually free. He couldn't just buy some food or visit a new place. The offenders didn't need chains and locks to control him, as they made him feel like he was surrounded by an invisible fence, one which he couldn't just climb over. He saw no way out.
The criminal group initially denied the charges, but faced with overwhelming evidence meticulously gathered by officers in the UK and in Latvia, the dominoes of the Peltris crime operation fell once again.
Hello, I'm Tom Bockrush, crime reporter for the Derby Telegraph. Today, 9 people have pleaded guilty to crimes linked to human trafficking and exploitation. The 9 were originally arrested over 2 series of raids this year and last year.
The strength of the case that we put forward couldn't be answered, so they had to fall, and ultimately they did. But they were waiting for the one potential weakness in our case, which were victims. Now, these people are some of the most vulnerable people in society, and they have issues, and still some of them have issues now, but with that support that they were able to give them, we were able to bring them to trial and give them their voice. And what I would say is, for any victims of modern slavery who are out there, the police are there, we will support you, we'll help you through the process, and we'll help you bring offenders to justice.